This is the fifth and final video in our series, and this video will focus on how to ensure a cow's milk protein-free diet is nutritionally adequate for a child aged 1 year and older. So in video 1 of our series, we focused on an introduction to milk allergy. Video 2 was for the breastfed baby. Video 3 is for the formula-fed baby. Video 4 advises on the reintroduction of cow's milk. And this is our final video focusing on meeting nutritional requirements in a child over 1 year of age whilst they continue to avoid all cow's milk proteins. So what will we cover in this video? What dietary factors do we need to consider? What milk substitutes can be used? And some of the key nutrients such as calcium, protein, iodine, and vitamin D and calcium supplements. So what dietary factors do we need to consider? Once your child has been successfully weaned and they're over 12 months of age, they should be including all foods from what we call the Eat Well plate, and this will help to ensure they're having all the nutrients they need for their growth and their health. The different food groups are fruits and vegetables, starchy carbohydrates like bread, cereals, pasta, rice and potatoes, and proteins such as fish, meat, eggs, pulses and beans. And whilst they're avoiding all the cow's milk proteins, they will need to ensure they're having suitable fortified alternatives. So what are some of the key nutrients we need to consider? Well, cow's milk contains calcium, iodine, protein, fat and vitamins. Whilst your child is avoiding all cow's milk and cow's milk products, we need to ensure your child is still getting these nutrients. So what milk substitutes should you give your child? Well, if your child is eating and growing well and they're over 12 months old, they'll be asked to come off their prescribed formula. Plant-based milk substitute drinks are often fortified with calcium and other nutrients. And children aged between 1 to 3 years usually need about 350 milligrams of calcium per day. They can usually get this from around 300 to 400 millilitres of a fortified cow's milk substitute to meet their calcium requirements per day. This might vary according to the calcium content of the drink. The cow's milk substitutes that we usually recommend are the soya growing up drink, or if this can't be given, other good alternatives are the fortified oat or coconut drink, as shown in this picture. Sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge getting your child to drink these drinks if they're not used to them. So remember, they can be added to other foods such as their breakfast cereal, or they could be used in cooking. If you can't get your child to drink these drinks, then please speak to your dietitian for other ideas. Remember not to give rice milk to children aged under 5 years of age. And also be careful about using any organic milk alternative products, as often these aren't fortified with calcium or other nutrients. If your child is not able to have soya products or soya growing up drink, they may not be getting quite as much protein as we would like them to have, and they need protein for their growth. Other good sources of protein in the diet include nuts and nut butters, but make sure you don't give whole nuts to children under the age of 5 years. Meats such as white meats and red meats, lentils, beans and pulses, and eggs and fish are all good sources of proteins, and try and serve these at their lunch and their evening meals to ensure they're getting sufficient amounts. Cow's milk is a good source of iodine, and this nutrient is needed for brain development. Other good sources are eggs and sea fish, so try to incorporate some of these into your child's diet. Some of the plant-based alternative drinks are also fortified with iodine. So vitamin D and calcium supplements. Well, vitamin D, our main source of this comes from the sunlight. And it's also found in a few foods such as oily fish, eggs and fortified products. But children over 1 year old should be taking a daily supplement of vitamin D of 10 micrograms per day. Now if your child is having formula still and they're having over 500 millilitres of formula, They should not be taking any additional vitamin supplements. This is because formula is fortified with vitamin D and other nutrients. If your child will not drink sufficient amounts of the milk substitute or not able to meet their calcium requirements, they may need to consider a calcium supplement. Please do discuss this with your dietitian or your child's doctor. If you're unsure or are concerned about your child's nutritional intake or their growth, make sure you speak to your dietitian for further support. So to summarise, whilst your child is on a cow's milk protein-free diet, make sure they are having fortified milk alternatives. Remember to keep your child's diet as varied as possible, including as many different types of foods from the different food groups. Keep meal times fun, positive and relaxed. Ensure your child is exposed to lots of different food tastes and textures. Remember again, if you're worried about your child's nutritional intake or their growth, speak to your doctor or dietitian. There are some resources that support the information given in this video, and we'll be posting links on how to access these. These are provided by the British Dietetic Association. And finally, thank you very much for listening to our cow's milk protein allergy videos. We really hope you found them useful. Our department contact details are listed, and should you require any further information, we may be contacted on the email address below or the telephone number.